Welcome, and for today's video, I will be discussing about the 5 ways to develop an instructional strategy using technology. Technology provides instant accessibility to information, which is why its presence in the 21st century. Smartphones, computers, and tablets are already present elements of everyday life for students and teachers alike. But are majority of our classroom truly prepared for an engagement in the 21st century? So here are the 5 ways to develop an instructional strategy that uses technology to manage, facilitate, and enhance learning, not to have an edtech be the center of attention. The space is the place. One of the first things you learned about classroom management is the physical setup for the learning environment itself. Unfortunately, the one-room schoolhouse setup still seems to be default mode for so many classrooms, so it's time to think outside the box. So there are 4 physical spaces to promote thinking and collaboration. Number 1 is makerspace. A makerspace is an area, usually a table or a corner in a classroom, stocked with the creative and technological tools. During free or study period, students can use the tools in the makerspace to create projects or crafts based on their own interests or things they're currently studying in class. The second is station base. A station base is a designated area in the classroom that learners must go to, where they must solve problems using the tools and materials provided to them. So the tools is required to solve them both come from technology. The third physical space is a mix of geometric shapes. The application of geometry in the real world include computer-aided design for construction blueprints, the design of assembly system in manufacturing, the computer graphics, visual crafts, video game programming, and virtual reality creation. And the last physical space is the Socratic seminar or the fishbowl approach. These are organized classroom discussion that require students to prepare thoughtful responses to deliver in class, built among students and teachers for collaboration. If your goal is to be a facilitator of student learning instead of leading a completely teacher-centered classroom, consider how will you set up your classroom so that you will monitor all students' screen at the same time, or how the physical use of devices will help your students collaborate, not to isolate themselves. Keeping it real. John Dewey and Progressive argued that education should be personally meaningful, participatory, and should prepare students to serve in a productive role in a democratic society. So when we talk about instructional strategies, it should have an authentic learning. So it allows students to explore, discuss, and meaningfully construct concepts that involves real-world problems and projects that are relevant to the learners. Next is the project-based learning, in which an instructional approach designed to give students the opportunity to develop knowledge and skills through engaging projects set around challenges and problems they may face in a real world. Next instructional strategy is the discovery learning, where students are encouraged to construct their own knowledge through a self-directive learning process. And last instructional strategy is the student's choice, in which not just a menu of decision, but it is about empowering students to establish what they want to learn. So it allows for students to have a freedom and power in the classroom. The teaching before the teaching. No matter what your chosen strategy, don't roll out the shiny object right at the top of the lesson. This may derail the class before it begins. Preparing students for learning through anticipatory activities or similar are still tried and true ways to focus attention and engage the class before putting devices in their hands. But if you open up the mobile computer lab and pass out devices before going over objectives and expectation, you will lose the valuable learning time. Again, use the technology to support and enhance the teaching strategy, not the other way around. Collaborating for success. According to the Center for Teaching Innovation at the Cornell University, there are many well-known benefits of collaborative learning. So learning management systems should be set up for both asynchronous and asynchronous collaboration depending on the class goals or objectives and the needs of your students. So if the learners' standards and lessons objectives lend themselves to a collaborative learning structures, then bring in the technology to facilitate that process. The good news is that with the help of educational technology, collaborative learning can be more engaging and productive than ever. Build character. Positive behavior intervention and support programs are all the rage today, and for good reason. They focus on the positive behavior support. And planning your instruction aided by technology integration, you should look to take a similarly student-centered and proactive approach to technology in the classroom. In the instructional strategy, it should be in a small group learning, a class role-playing exercise, or an independent study project among dozens of other possible approaches. So we should take time to weave in lessons geared specifically toward relevant digital citizenship targets. And lastly, the aligned strategy enhanced with technology. So it's time to use educational technology to take your instructional strategies to the next level. Whether through LMS discussion features, social media usage, and a presentation software. From the content standard objective, select an instructional strategy that best meet the needs of student in mastering the desired content, concepts, and processes. We should also determine what edtech tool will be served the strategy. When your focus remains on teaching and learning, with the technology serving that master, you'll develop an instructional strategies that will help lead increased student learning every time. Overall, the implementation of technology also creates pathways of differentiated instructions to meet the unique needs of students as individual learners within a broader classroom climate. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.